Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tai Chi and Empowered Movement class. We're going to keep things simple today. We'll start with some warm-ups and Qigong, and we're going to break down stance work and just keep it basic today. So let's just start as we usually do. We'll circle our wrists overhead. Just circle your wrists as you sweep your arms down in a slow arc, just loosening things up. Repeat that a couple of times. Loosening up the joints in our arms. Relaxing wrists, elbows, shoulders. Do some little shoulder rolls back, just each side, one at a time. Then we're going to shrug up and tense our shoulders and then drop. So shrug up, tense, drop, shrug up, drop, tighten, release, tighten, release. And then just try a few more little shoulder rolls after that. Let's make a windmill with our arms. So as one arm goes back, the other one is lifting up. There's a little waist turn to the side, nice and slow. We're gonna circle our arms to the front, backs of your hands together, press, feel the space between your shoulders. Same thing a couple more times. Back of the hands together in front, stretch, feel the space between your shoulder blades. Same thing this time overhead. Just loosening up, feeling into our shoulders and upper back. This time we'll protect the head, spiral one arm to the side, palm up, and switch, protect your head, spiral one arm to the side, and with palm up and switch. Repeat this a few times. You could make it a nice fluid movement, alternating left and right. This time, we'll do the same thing, but reach to the back. Behind you, same thing, turn, reach to the back behind you, switch, turn. Nice and slow, opening up all the joints in our arms. Feeling into our shoulders. You can go a little bit wider. This time we're just gonna go, let your shoulders be loose. Use your waist turning to the side to just swing your arms. Your hands make contact with your body, maybe your low back or your side as you swing, that's just fine. Make two fists and give yourself a little massage in the low back. Just make some circles there around your kidney area. Just getting our blood moving, a little heat, a little friction. Okay, we can rub our palms together. Same thing, feel a little heat, a little friction. We're gonna make a little imaginary ball of energy. So we're gonna open, just let your palms naturally spread apart. And as you exhale, condense, make your ball smaller. Inhale, make it bigger. Exhale, contract. Inhale, expand. Exhale, contract. And as our hands are moving and we're making this little ball, imagine your lungs filling as we inhale, expanding, and gently deflating, contracting, releasing as we exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Keep going. This time we can just bring our hands to our center. Let's try a little Qigong shaking. So just vibrate your hands. Feel that go all the way up your arms, just shaking, relaxing, releasing. And then start to add in your legs, little bounce, little shake, bounce. Just get some movement in your entire body. Start to lift your heels, bounce on the floor a little bit as you shake. You can do this gently or you can do this more vigorously, whatever feels good. Add a little waist turn as we bounce, shake. Little waist turn side to side. Just shake out. Add your head and your neck. You can kind of flick your wrists a little bit. Flick your wrists. And you can kick your feet a little bit too. Kick out your feet, just relax, release. And then kind of come back to that bouncing again. And then just find a little place where you can feel your weight balanced in your feet. So you can shift forward onto your toes, rock back onto your heels, shift onto your toes, heels. Just kind of alternate, going back and forth. You can even rock side to side a little bit. Side to side. And then just find what feels like shoulder width for you and your weight centered, standing in the middle of both feet. And if you need to make little micro adjustments, just go ahead and do that. And we're going to work to relax from the top all the way down. So just imagine, as we have before, we're standing under a waterfall, and that water is going to help us relax and release all that water, all that energy. We're just going to let it wash over us, release everything into the ground, and the water is going to carry everything away. Just stand and enjoy a few moments of silence and stillness. Let's shift into our standing meditation. So from here, inhale and exhale smoothly. Arms are relaxed at your sides. First position. Breathe in and out. And I will cue our next hand changes. As you're standing, notice what's happening in your body. Notice if you need to make little micro adjustments to tuck your hips or adjust your feet, adjust your knees or the way your waist is turned a little bit. Just relax. Don't judge any sensations that might be coming up. Maybe we feel pain or tension. Just notice and let those sensations go. Just a little greeting. Hello, knees. Hello, hips. Hello, stomach. Hello, shoulders. Anything that's wanting your attention, just acknowledge and then let it go. And keep doing that as we move through our hand positions for standing meditation. Let's shift into the second. Palms up about navel height. Relax, breathe, and check your relaxation and your alignment. Raise your hands up to about heart height. Consciously relax the muscles in your face and your jaw. Relax the muscles in your neck. Relax the muscles in your shoulders, chest, elbows, arms, hands, fingers. Raise your hands and turn palms to face away from you about forehead height, continuing to relax the muscles in your head, neck, and upper body. Slowly lower your arms to about waist height, palms face down. Gentle bend in the elbows. Imagine your lungs and your energy fields expand as you inhale, contract as you exhale. Slowly lower your hands into our final position. Arms relaxed, slight bend in the elbows, palms face forward. See if you can visualize your spine. And imagine there's also a shaft of light that runs from above your head all the way down into the floor. And just see if you can find your center, Try to center your spine in that shaft of light. Just imagine them being straight, aligned. From the ground up, see if you can push up through your feet and align your spine and your skeleton. And from the top down, as if you were suspended by the top of your head from a string, relax all your muscles from the top of your head down through your shoulders, torso, abdomen, hips, upper legs, knees, lower legs, ankles, feet. Just a couple of times, push and check your alignment up. See if you can coordinate. Breathe in, check your alignment. Breathe out, relax down from the top. Breathe in, check your alignment. And relax down from the top. A couple more times on your own. All right, relax. Circle your wrists and your ankles a little bit. Just relax. Take a minute to grab a sip of water, transition into our next thing. I want to practice some circle walking, and let's just kind of ease into this. Let's practice just walking a circle a few times each direction. The first time, walk as if we would every day. So walk as if you would walk every day, but try to imagine strength in your legs, stability in your legs. Let's just walk the circle a few times. We'll begin counterclockwise. Just walk and I will say start and stop, and that's it. We'll just focus on relaxed walking, but feel a little strength and stability and move without falling onto your feet. So walk without falling forward, walk very intentionally, and imagine rolling your heel to your toe, and we'll just practice this circle walking a few times. So counterclockwise, let's begin. Nice and slow. Stepping with our heel first, rolling onto the toe. We're not falling forward, we're stepping lightly. Heel and roll onto the toe. Keep walking counterclockwise, slowly, intentionally. And if your focus was straight ahead of you, now you can maybe place your hands at your waist, palms up to help you center and balance a little bit. And now we'll shift our attention to focus on the center of our circle. So that's where I'm going to look. I'm going to keep walking. Keep walking slowly and intentionally, but this time I'm looking at the center of my circle. Palms are up. lightly press into my lower abdomen, just resting there, just giving me a focal point, feeling my center and looking at the center of the circle as I walk slowly, rolling heel to toe, slow intentional steps. And now I'm going to connect with my feet a little bit more. I'm going to imagine before I pick up this foot, as I roll off this toe, all my weight is in this forward leg before I step. And this step is going to be so light and empty. I'm just going to place my heel, shift forward, and all my weight is in this leg as I roll up onto this rear toe, lift. And now we're going to shift into what's called a chicken step. Okay, so we're going to shift, chicken step, and then walk forward, place that heel. Chicken step, I'm going to lower my camera just a little bit more so you can see my feet since we're focused on stances here. So, okay, so still here, knees are bent, chicken step, then we're going to walk, right? So the chicken is just kind of taking a moment before we move forward. Just practicing shifting weights and making sure our steps are empty so that we step very lightly. We're not falling forward on our feet. Chicken step, heel, toe, shift. This rear toe just rolls up, empty step, chicken step, and then I place my heel, toe, shift into this leg, chicken step, place my heel, toe, shift into this leg. All my weight is off my back leg before I ever lift it up. Chicken step, place my heel, toe, shift forward, chicken step, heel, toe, shift. I have no weight in this back foot. It's very easy to pick up. Chicken step, heel, toe, all my weight's in my forward leg. Pick up, and just keep doing this. Just go slowly, just making sure that before we lift up that back leg, all our weight's out of it, and when we place it, we're stepping lightly, we're stepping slowly and with power. Okay, that's great. We're going to continue the same thing. Let's reverse our circle though. So get your hands in your center, tuck your pelvis under, and step and shift. Just keep practicing this chicken step. And you don't have to press into your leg. You're just lifting so that one foot is by your ankle before you step. Chicken step, your one foot is just by your ankle. You don't have to lift up high. If this is challenging, you can look down at the floor ahead of you. Try to pick a focal point when you're walking your circle so that your eyes can stay relaxed. While we're walking the circle, we want to keep our eyes relaxed. So try this, continuing with your gaze forward and soft, kind of looking down and ahead. Keep going. Remember to keep your hips tucked under, your knees bent. Just drawing one foot to your ankle in a chicken step. Place the heel, roll onto the toe. Take all your weight out of your back leg before that toe comes off the floor and steps up. Then heel, toe, chicken step, keep going. And because I'm walking in a small circle, what I'm noticing is that often my toes are gonna point towards each other a little bit. This is really natural and normal, so just kind of notice. And we're gonna go real slowly, and if there's any pain in your knees, just ask yourself where you can make an adjustment to be more comfortable. If you have the space to make your circle bigger, a bigger circle will place less stress on your knees. So keep going. And then let's release the chicken step and just go back to our regular walking step. But just kind of try to recognize as one foot's passing another, as we're shifting our weight, that we want to have all our weight out of that back leg. So we're stepping lightly, stepping with strength, stepping intentionally. So let's keep walking, and then let's go ahead and shift into our Bagua palms here. So we're just gonna have, as a reminder, imagine you have an opponent and you're just ready to have the back of your wrist linked with your partner or with your opponent. So it's approximately hand under elbow, not quite that tight. You don't have to squeeze your shoulders in. So keep your shoulders and your back relaxed. We're just gonna make our target. We're gonna focus on the center. Imagine that you were joining hands with a partner across the circle, and let's just focus on the center of the circle and just continue walking intentionally. Stepping slowly. So one of the things in Tai Chi and Bagua and martial arts is to take empty steps. That's what we're working on today. Empty steps. And you might hear me talk about when we're in Tai Chi stances that our weight distribution is 60-40 or 70-30, 80-20 or 100-0. So for an empty step, we're at 100-0. And as we walk, as we shift, of course, we're reaching a point where we're 50-50, right? And then we want to get to that 100-0, 50-50 as we shift our weight. Those numbers are changing constantly as we walk the circle. We just want to make sure that we're getting to that 0 and 100, that we're taking empty steps. Go ahead and stop. Let's change directions again. So back to counterclockwise, step with our inside foot first. Just continue walking. This time, try to really imagine that you do have an opponent at the center of your circle across from you. And be ready. Walk slowly, intentionally, walk the circle, and just be ready. This is your guard. Your arms are in a guard position. Slowly, intentionally. Don't take your focus off the center of the circle. Relax your eyes, relax your gaze. You can look through the target in your upper hand. If you do have an opponent, you want to look at them through the target of this little U shape in your hand. You want to look through this shape on the top. So we're rotating around our center of the circle, rotating around the other person as we imagine them. Stop. We're going to do single palm change to change directions. Don't worry if you don't remember, just follow along. Now we're moving clockwise in our guard, taking empty steps. Okay, good. We can relax. All right, I'm gonna grab another little sip of water here. So that's empty steps around the circle. That's empty steps for Bagua. Now let's go back to some of our Tai Chi stances. So let's get into a cat stance, okay? For the cat stance, I have all my weight in one leg. I really feel this through my heel. When I'm in a cat stance, I feel my weight is more in my heel, not so much in my toe. That would be difficult for me to maintain my balance. So for the cat stance, on my supporting leg and on my supporting foot, I'm really feeling my weight and my alignment through my shoulder, my hip, and my heel. And you'll hear me talk about that when we go into Golden Rooster, right? So from the cat stance, we could be going into Golden Rooster. We could be going into Repulse Monkey. There's a lot of places we can go from a cat stance. We could be going into a kick. So the cat stance is in a lot of places. We're not going through the Tai Chi form right now, but we're working on a lot of the basics, and we'll get there eventually, I think. So cat stance, let's just practice that on each side a little bit. So let's try on our left side, right? So 100% of our weight is in our left leg, in our left heel. We're aligned, we're relaxed, shoulder, hip, ankle. And just try from your cat stance, just picking up into that Golden Rooster and then placing again. Just picking up and placing. We're not going anywhere. Just a few times. Pick up and place, and then shift. Put your weight in your right heel. Imagine 100 and 0. So just practicing our empty steps again. If that's not comfortable, you could just lift up into more of a chicken stance, right? Or maybe to your knee, right? So we can always modify so that we're comfortable. So shift left side 100, right side 0. Right? You can try that with the arm or without the arm. Same thing. Switch back to our right. Picking up and placing. Okay, now how about a bow stance? Left leg forward. So for our bow stance, we go from shoulder width, right? So shoulder width, toes point forward, turn one toe out to the corner a little bit. And then as if our feet were on boards, we're gonna kind of slide from shoulder width, slide this other foot forward a little bit. That's kind of how we find a bow stance that's comfortable for us. And I'll just do that from the side for another angle. So shoulder width, right? This is our shoulder width stance. And this is my shoulder width. Yours is going to look a little bit different. If you're bigger and taller, your feet are going to be wider apart. I have this little smaller frame, so my stance is going to be smaller. So make your stances appropriate for your body size and for your proportions. You don't have to try to copy me exactly. Just find what's comfortable. So shoulder width, toes face forward, turn one toe out, and basically slide forward here. Here's your bow stance. In our bow stance, let's just practice shifting to the left, shifting to the right, shifting to the left, shifting to the right. And if you feel unsteady, there's a good chance that your bow stance is too narrow. Okay, so switch sides. Right foot forward in your bow stance. Sink a little bit, bend your knees a little bit. Let's just shift to the right, shift to the left, shift to the right, shift to the left. We're just testing our bow stance. Shift forward, come up, and you could lean back just a little bit. Doesn't have to be extreme. We're just testing, right? So go forward in your bow stance. You don't have to go that far, but you can if it's comfortable. Lean back a little bit. Forward. Up and back a little bit. To the side. To the side. 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 And all of this is just testing our bow stance to see if our feet are in a good, comfortable place for us where we feel solid and stable, and as if we did have a Tai Chi opponent, they can't push us over, right? So same thing, find it, turn one toe out, slide the other one forward. If you're, by the other means, if you're too wide, you can't pick up your foot and move. So if you have a giant bow stance, you're 50-50. It's really hard to get out of this, right? So if you're in a big bow stance like this, basically now what you've done is moved into a horse stance. So we can go into our horse stance intentionally, toes together, turn your heels out, toes out, heels out, toes out, okay? And then sink into a horse stance, right? I'll do this from the side for you. Horse stance, right? We want to have our weight in our heels. Toes and knees face the same direction. And if this is your squat, if that's as far as you go, tuck your hips under, that's fine. If you can go a little deeper, that's fine. Somewhere in the middle, you can try all of those, right? But this is our horse stance where for the horse stance, we're 50-50, right? We want our weight distributed evenly. We're in a very wide stance, solid. We would not like, again, shift, 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 right? When we're doing our stretching, we make our feet wider because we have better balance, we have better stability. But by that same token, is it going to be easy for me to go into, how easy is it for me to shift my weight out of this? It's not. I'm going to have to shift to one side or the other. I don't just want to go like this. I'm going to shift my weight a little bit. So for a very wide stance, bring it back to the bow stance. If your bow stance is too wide, it's going to be hard to move into the next posture. So that's why we just kind of want to test our stances today and see if you can get really comfortable with what does a good cat stance feel like for you. Just shift. Try the cat stance on both sides, kind of tap your toe a little bit, right? Raise your heel. Cat stance, just feel where that is in your body. Again, it doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Just keeping an eye on the time here. So cat stances, right? This is our horse stance. This is our bow stance. So bow stances, depending on what posture we're doing, they could be 60-40 or 70-30 or a little bit different depending on where we want to go, depending on what we want to do. So let's go through parting wild horse's mane, since we're doing both of these, right? Cat stance, hold our ball, look where we want to go to the corner. And from a cat stance, we can take an easy empty step. And from here, we're going to intentionally think about what size of a bow stance am I going to make when I step out? And then go ahead and make your little adjustment with your rear foot so that your bow stance is facing the corner. We're not going to worry about hands too much, right? So if you want to have them centered for your balance, you can bring your hands into your center, however we want to do that. But we're not going to worry about the hands today. So from our cat stance, for parting wild horse's mane, step out and just do this a few times, right? So just do this a few times. Cat stance, You can readjust. Bow stance, right? However you want to have your hands. Let's not make it confusing. Cat stance. Look to the corner. Step out into your bow stance. Just focusing on how do I feel in this cat stance? Do I feel like I can take an empty step? Am I looking where I want to go? When I step, am I putting myself into a bow stance that is appropriate for my size? Or when I step out from my cat stance, am I stepping really big and making it difficult for myself, right? Does this feel more like a horse stance, or does it feel like I'm falling forward onto my foot? So from an empty step, we want to step out into our bow stance, but again, it's like walking the circle. When we step, it should be intentional. And we want to think about where we're placing our foot. It's totally fine when we're first learning. If I don't get this cat stance and if I don't get this bow stance right the first time, take time to stop and make your stance a little smaller or make your stance a little bit bigger. And you can look down, you can visually check your feet as we're going through some of these postures and just make these adjustments so that you're more comfortable and so that you're thinking about, can I take an empty step? Am I roughly 60-40 or 70-30 in my bow stances? So with that, I'm gonna just quiet down for a minute and let you absorb that, and let's just go through some parting wild horses mains, keeping in mind what we've just talked about. Let's practice some brush knees, keeping the same things in mind. So for brush knees, it's going to be bow stance to bow stance, with a centering step in the middle. So this is a little chicken step or a little centering step. And then I step into the next brush knee. So I'm just taking a moment here to get centered so that I take another nice empty step, right? And feel free to adjust. If you step out too big or too wide, you can do centering step. And if you don't need the centering step for brush knee, if you feel relaxed and confident, you can do brush knee. And you can just move that other foot forward. If you feel like you don't need the centering step, you can go brush knee, right? We're just changing our feet. You don't have to do that centering step if you don't feel like you need it. But if you want to take your time and then step out again into your bow stance, it's totally fine to do a centering step, right? Or to do a little L step to where it's a little bit of an arc, right? So whatever we need to feel centered and balanced, I could do more of a little kind of a step in and step out, right? So this little hook step almost, little hook step for brush knee. So just do whatever you need to do. You don't have to make it complicated, but just pay attention. What I hope for everyone to take away from today is just to be mindful of stances, to be mindful of how we're moving our weight, of how we're shifting. Let's keep going with some more brush knee, left and right. Just relax and let your postures be smooth and flowing from one to the next. I'm just gonna change my angle here, keep going with some brush knees. Great, let's do a few parting wild horses mane, just smooth, nice smooth transitions. Just relax and breathe. keep going with a few more parting wild horses made. Okay, awesome. All right, awesome work today. Let's just take a minute to get centered again. After that, you can be seated or standing. Just take a minute to come back to your center. You can do hands on your abdomen or on your thighs, whatever feels good for you. Just take a minute to kind of be still and centered. And even after today's video, I would encourage you to give yourself some time, to give yourself some space to process, to transition from one thing to the next. Just a lifestyle habit that I think a lot of us are used to is going from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing throughout the day. And I think that a lot of us would benefit by having some wiggle room in the schedule, by having some downtime, having some moments for these transitions, right? I don't think we were meant to go from, the shower to the car to work to wherever we need to go. It's, we weren't designed to do that. So let's just try to think for this week to give ourselves some time, some space, a little bit of grace. And if we can steal back some quiet moments, I know it's tough and it seems like it's not always feasible to do this, but let's try little by little, bit by bit, to just build in a little more transition time, right? So posture to posture, we have a brief pause, right? And it feels like it's not there, but if we don't pause between postures, things get sloppy, we lose the parts and the pieces, things just sort of blend together and we're not really going to enjoy our practice as much. So think when you're doing the postures to enjoy that slight pause before you transition from the left side to the right side, if you know the form, if you're practicing the form, just take a little bit and appreciate that pause and see if you can translate that to life a little bit and have some longer pauses between your day-to-day activities. So thanks so much for being here, and I hope to see everyone next week. Bye.
Bye.